So, which camera should you get? The M50 or the A6300? I didn't want to make this comparison till I get to use the M50 for a long period of time and properly test it. Well, now at this point I know both these cameras pretty well. I work with both of them. I've done photo shoots both outdoors and at the studio with both these cameras, and I've done plenty of YouTube videos. So before I go ahead and compare these two, I'm gonna give you my thoughts on both these cameras. First, let's start with the Sony A6300. I love this camera, and I also fucking hate it. Clearly the way I feel about it seems confusing, but let me explain. I consider the Sony A6300 like a mini cinema camera. It has outstanding 4K with a slog, brilliant dynamic range, good low light performance, 120 frames per second that actually looks good, with continuous autofocus. And when it's come to still photography, it's actually pretty good. So why do I hate it then? Well, when shooting 4K or slow motion, the screen dims and I end up shooting blind. Rolling shutter is pretty bad. The battery life is very poor. 1080p video quality is not that great. It overheats, the menus are a fucking puzzle, and I can't see myself when shooting these kind of videos I'm doing right now. There is no sidewall screen like in the M50. Maybe the biggest complaint I have with this camera is the color science. I mean, the colors, especially when it comes to skin tones, sometimes it's really off. Now let's talk about the M50. Now, this camera is all about simplicity. The 4K is decent, as long as you have it on a tripod that's rolling shutter is one of the worst I ever tested. Keep in mind that when shooting in 4K you also have a pretty nasty crop and very shitty autofocus. But the 1080p is really nice. At that resolution can shoot up to 60 frames per second, which give you somewhere around very good slow motion, not that good as 120. There is also 120 frames per second, but at 720p that isn't all that great. When it comes to still photography, it's also pretty good. Menus are very easy to navigate and you can use the touchscreen for everything. The screen rotates in all directions so you can see yourself, and especially it's very useful for when you're vlogging. The two things I love the most about this camera is how simple it is to use, and the color science is right on point, as it usually is with Canon cameras. So then, which one you should get? Well, I would recommend the Canon M50 to most people. It's newer and cheaper, unless you aim at being a professional photographer slash filmmaker, or if you're shooting, your shooting style needs good slow motion. When it comes to photography, there isn't much of a difference when it comes to the image quality between these two cameras. But the Sony have two dials, more custom buttons, that makes it a lot more easy to shoot photography or even video, well, especially when you shoot all in fully manual, like I do. If you plan to shoot videos for most case scenarios, I will still recommend the Canon EOS M50, as I've seen that 4K is highly overrated, and when it comes to Full HD, this camera really shines. And if you're planning on vlogging or doing YouTube videos, then it's not even a contest. Of course, the M50 is a better camera because you have that beautiful swivel screen that allows you to see yourself and you can control it with the touchscreen. It's everything so much more easy that way. Both cameras have pretty decent audio, and even both these cameras can be used with adapters. Is the M50 the one that actually works really well when you have an adapted lens? The Sony A6300 may have issues with the connections or with the autofocus. To be honest, I don't think you could go wrong with any of these cameras. They're both pretty good overall, and I hope I have helped you make your next purchase decision. This is Gabi from Ray Studios. Till next time.